students, welcome to lecture number 6 where we will be covering module number 2 under subject financial management. As we know, module number 2 is value of money, and in lecture number 5 we have already seen what is the meaning of time value of money. We have seen what is simple interest and problems on simple interest. We had already seen what is compound interest. So today we will be covering a revision on compound interest and certain problems on compound interest. So compound interest, we know is nothing but an interest calculated on total of previously earned interest and the original principal amount. So compound interest, every year if it is calculated, it keeps on changing, which is calculated on original principal amount plus the interest that you have earned in the earlier year. So compound interest can be either calculated annually, semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, or daily. So what is the formula to calculate the compound interest? Is nothing but compound interest is A minus P, where A is your compounded amount. When I say compounded amount, that means future value, your future amount, and P is your present value or your amount that you have invested. Now, how do you calculate this future? How do you calculate the compounded amount? You have different formulas depending upon whether the interest is calculated annually, semi-annually, quarterly, or monthly. So if your compound amount is the interest is calculated annually, the formula is A is equals to P in the bracket 1 plus R raised to N, where remember students, A is the compounded amount, R is the principal amount or the amount invested or the present value, R is the rate of interest, and to the raise to the power of N, N is the number of years or time period. Semi-annually, the formula remains the same. If it is semi-annually, you're going to divide R by 2, multiply N by 2. If it is quarterly, you're going to divide R by 4, multiply N by 4. If it is monthly, you're going to divide R by 12 and multiply N by 12. If it is daily, you're going to divide R by 365 and multiply N by 365. Next, before we start solving the problems on compound interest, it is very important that you all know how to calculate this exponent. Now, what does the meaning of exponent means? Where there is a base raised to a power. So here you can see in this particular formula, there is base 1 plus R is the base raised to the power N. So how do you solve this particular equation, or how do you solve this particular part? This is as exponent. This is the base. R is the base and N is raised to the power N. That is called as exponent. So in exam, how are you going to solve this? There are three ways in which you solve this. First is by using the present value and future value tables. These are the tables that are given to you all in your examination hall. So it's very simple. Just see, look at these tables and you will derive at the value which has a base to the raise of some power or exponent. Now, how to use this table and how to derive values table we will be seeing in the succeeding slides. Using scientific calculators, if you all are using scientific calculators, you can calculate it as well in your scientific calculators, and in simple calculator so you can find out any value which has a base raised to a power or exponent. Now, I'll be showing you all the three methods. Whichever method you will find easy, you all can use it. Numbers to these tables will be given in your examination hall. Next, let us see how to calculate a base raised to a power using present value and future value tables. So let me just explain you how you are supposed to calculate base raised to the power. Students, in this tables that given to all, it is divided into 4 tables. As you can see here, table number 1, okay. Okay, this is table number 1. Just a second. Table number 3, table number 2, you all can see here, this is table number 1. Okay. This is table number 2, table number 3, and table number 4. Now, how are you supposed to use this particular in calculating the values, and which table number has to be used for which particular type of sum. So remember students, when you want to calculate future value, when I say future value is when you want to find out when you want to find out future value of a single cash flow. When I say single cash flow, means there is only one time flow of the cash. There is no annuity. The flow of cash is only once. So here in the table name itself, it will be given that future value interest used for single cash flow. So when you want to calculate the future value, you are going to use the table number 1. Now, table number 2 is to be used. Then you have to find a future value of an annuity. Now we know annuity is not a single cash flow. In annuity, there is a series of equal payment. So whenever you want to find out future value of an annuity, you are going to opt for table number 2. Table number 3 is for the present value of single cash flow, and table number 4 is for present value of an annuity. So remember students, there are 4 tables, table number 1, 2, 3, 4. Table number 1 and table number 2 is for calculating the future value. Table number 3 and table number 4 is to calculate your present value. Now, how are you going to find out? Now, in the formula I had shown you that R is raised to N. So the base is R and it is raised to N. So R is nothing but your rate of interest, which you all can see here, which is given horizontally. Horizontally, what you have is your R, which is also called as K. So R is the rate of interest that is given horizontally, and N is the time period, or N is the number of years which is given vertically in the table. So always remember, horizontally you will have R and vertically you will have N. Now suppose it is 5% raised to 4 years. So you have to go to 5%, and this rate you can find it horizontally, and 4 years. The years you can find it vertically. So 5%, 4 years. To this, what is the corresponding value? For 5% for 4 years, the corresponding value is 1.155. So this is your answer, where it is 5 raised to 4. So 5 raised to 4 is nothing but the interest 5% and is kept for 4 years. So what is going to be the value of that? It is 1.2155. So this is your value. So with the help of these tables, you can directly derive at the value. One drawback of this table is why you need to go for scientific calculators or simple calculators is only whole numbers are given. That means if suppose the rate of interest is 5.5%, can you calculate your 5.5%? Does the table give percentage in decimal point or in fractions? No. Here only whole percentages are given, whole rate of interest is given, and the number of years also are in whole number of digits. So your fractions and decimals are not covered in these tables. Therefore, there is a need for using scientific calculators or simple calculators in finding out the value of a base raised to par. So always remember, if suppose it is 5.5%, it is a decimal rate of interest, then you need to go in for scientific or simple calculators. But if it is a whole number, then always use these tables. It will be useful and easily you will be able to calculate the value. Okay. Now, this was the method of using present value and future value tables in finding out a base rate to par. Again, I repeat, table, they have 4 types of table. Table 1 and 2 is to be used for future value, and table 3 and 4 is to be used for present value. And table will show only those base raised to the power which are whole numbers or whole digits. Next, by using scientific calculators, how can find a base to an power or exponent? So everyone is having scientific calculator now with them? Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So same thing we take, that is 5% for 4 years. So 5% for 4 years is again in our, see, when I say it is 5% for 4 years, so 5% is nothing but 0.05 plus 1. So it is 1.05. So it is 1.05 you need to write in your scientific calculators. Then you have a symbol of exponent in your scientific calculators. Just press on that and write n. N is for 4 years. So what is the amount you're getting on your scientific calculators? Again, I repeat, 5% for 4 years. Now 5% is 0.05 plus 1 is how much? 1.05 raised to n. N is 4 years. This is just an example. So in your scientific calculator, first to write the base. The base is 1.05. Then you have a sign of exponent in your calculators. The power raised to the power, there is a symbol in your calculators. Just press on that and write the power, that is 4. So it comes to 1.215. Everyone get that? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
We all
Yes,
know how
ma'am.
an exponent symbol, everyone knows, no, how it is?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Okay.
your voice is breaking.
Yes?
Your voice is breaking.
Okay, I'll just check my network. Yeah. Now is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what is the answer did you all get?
1.215.
1.2155.
Okay. And let us just cross check with the tables. See here, students. 1.2155. 5% for 4 years is 1.2155. So either I'm telling your students, it is your option. Either you all can go in for tables. Tables will be given to you all examination hall or scientific calculators. Now, why you need to carry a calculator as well? Because sometimes if it is 5.5, if it is 4.5, you cannot find it in the table. That's the reason you need to take along with your scientific calculators. Next, using simple calculator. Now, anyone has simple calculator, or are you using scientific calculator only? Yes, students? Does anyone is using simple calculators? If you use, then I will explain this procedure. Otherwise, we may skip this procedure since all are having scientific calculators. Then it becomes easy for calculation. Is anyone using simple calculator? Okay.
No, ma'am.
I'll just once just go through it in case someone is using. Now, put down the base in your calculator. Okay. So the base was what? It was 5% for 4 years. So the base was 1.05 students. Now press the square root key 12 times. There is a square root key in your simple calculator. You got to press it 12 times. After pressing it for 12 times, you have to minus 1, and then after minusing 1, you need to multiply that number with power. The power was for 4 years. So multiply by 4. Again, add back 1. And you need to press into is equals to this key for 12 times. And then you'll get the answer. If someone has simple calculator, we will do it. Otherwise, we can proceed further. So these are the steps that you need to follow if you are having simple calculator. So can we proceed further? Yes, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us solve problems on compound interest. Okay, students. In previous session, in the last problem on simple interest, okay, in my last problem of simple interest, there was a student had a doubt that, like in my when I solved the solution for 6 problem, I said that this you all are calculating for 2.5 years. Let me just repeat the problem. A certain principal amounts to 15,000 in 2.5 years and to rupees 16,500 in 4 years at the same rate of interest. Find the rate of interest. And I told you simple interest happens is the amount of interest remains the same. The rate of interest remains the same. Why? Because it is always calculated on the original principal amount. Okay, so in simple interest is always calculated on the original principal amount. So in this particular problem, if you'll remember, we had done it for 2.5 years. I had told you all that even if you'll do for 4 years, you will get the same answer. So when we did for 2.5 years, we got the answer as 8%. Now, student had a doubt that please solve it for 4 years also. So I'm just for that student, I'm just doing this. The same calculation taking 4 years. So 1.5 years, the simple interest was 1,500. So for 4 years, it is how much? It is 4,000 rupees. Now, the future value after 4 years was 16,500. The simple interest is 4,000. So what is going to be the principal amounts? 12,500. Now, once we know what is the principal amount, once what is the simple interest, we have to, once we know the time period, we have to just substitute these figures in this particular formula in order to get the rate of interest. Just put all these figures, that is simple interest 4,000, principal amount 12,500, time period 4 years, and have just solved this particular equation. So we got rate of interest as 8%, which is same as rate of interest we had got in our earlier calculation. So whether you take 4 years or 2.5 years in your calculation, get the same rate of interest. So I've shown you all this working, same working by taking 4 years. Okay. So is this particular solution clear to everyone? And to that student who had a doubt? Yes? Just instead of taking 2.5, taken 4 years everywhere, just to show you all that the rate of interest will remain the same. Any doubt in this simple interest problem which we had covered in the last class, last problem? Yes, students? Yes, students, any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so let us move to problems on compound interest. Okay, let us start. Determine the compound interest for an investment of 7,500 at 6% compounded half yearly for 6 years. So they're telling us to find out the compound interest for an investment of 7,500. Most when any problem is given to you all, just identify the terms. So 7,500 is your P, original principal amount, because it is the initial investment. 6% is your rate of interest. 6 years is your time period, and compounded half yearly means it is semi-annually. So when there is compounded semi-annually, what do? We divide R by 2 and multiply N by 2. Okay, so they're telling us to find out the compound interest. What is the formula to calculate compound? So let us look into the solution. Calculation of compound interest. So compound interest is nothing but A minus P. Whatever is your future value minus your present value, the difference is the interest that you have earned. So A minus P, where we know what is P. P is 7,500, but we do not know what is A. So let us first calculate in the working notes. So of future rate of interest is 6% and the number of years is 6 years. Now, since it is semi-annually, you're going to divide 6 by 2 and multiply 6 years into 2. So when you further solve it, it is 7,500 in the bracket. 6 divided by 2 will be 3%. So how do you write 3%? 3 divided by 100 is 0.03. So plus 1 becomes 1.03 raised to 12. Now we further solve it, we write 7,500. Now how did we get this particular figure 1.4258? So when if you are using your scientific calculators, just you all need to write 1.03 to the power 12. So then you get 1.4257. It is up to all. You can take after decimal 3 figures or after decimal 4 digits. So usually we take 4 digits or 3 digits. That is absolutely okay. The answer will differ by certain decimal point, but also okay. So we have got 1.4258. Okay. Now when you multiply this two, you get 10693.5. Now this is your future value which you're going to write it here, and the difference between the two will give you the compound interest, which is 3193.20. Now this same thing, let us solve using a table. So let us use the table for this to find out. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so it is 3% for 12 years. It is 3% for 12 years. So you go to 3%, and which table I have to use, students? We have going to calculate the future value, correct? Future value. Now it is a single cash flow. 7,500 is invested only once. There is no series of investment of 7,500. So table number 1 is for calculating future value of a single cash flow. So this is, we are going to use table number 1 to calculate future value of a single cash flow. Okay, here you need to see 3% for 12 years. So I told you all that rate of interest is horizontal. So 3%, you all can see a 3% for 12 years. 12 years you will get vertical. So here you will get 12 years. So 3% for 12 years, corresponding to that, what is the amount? The figure for 3% for 12 years is 1.4258, and that is what we have taken here, 1.4258. So when you multiply this two, you get 10693.5. This is the way we calculate power base raised to the power by either using scientific calculator or the tables which will be given to you all in your examination. Did everyone understand problem number 1? Yes, students, did you all get problem number 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now let us move ahead to problem number 2. Rupees 2000 is invested at annual rate of interest of 10%. What is the amount after 2 years if compounded is done annually, semi-annually, monthly, and daily? So now we have to solve the same problem if the compounding is annually, semi-annually, monthly, daily. Okay, students. Now it is very important for you all to determine whether present value is given or future value. So 2000 is invested. That means is original principal amount. 10% is your rate of interest. 2 years is your time period. So first we are going to calculate it annually. Here they are telling us to find what amount will be receiving after 2 years. So here they're just telling us to find out the compounded amount or future value. They are not telling us to find out the compounded in. So our calculation will be calculation of future value A if it is done annually. Formula remains the same. Only if it is semi-annually, R by multiply n by 2. If it is monthly, divide R by 12, multiply n by 12. If it is daily, divide R by 365, multiply n by 365. So since it is annually, okay, so the first calculation is we are doing is annually. So write the formula. A is equals to P in the bracket 1 plus R raised to n. Substitute the figures in the formula. P is 2000, R is 10%. So 10% is nothing but 0.10 raised to 2 because it is 2 years. Then further solve it, it becomes 2000 into 1.10 raised to 2. Now how are you going to solve this? 1.10 raised to 2 is 10% for 2 years. So students, here you can see 10% and number of years will be given vertically. So 2 years. To that, what is the corresponding figure? The corresponding figure is nothing but 1.2100. So 1.2100 into 2000 will give you 2420, which is your future value if you are compounding your interest annually. On the same lines, you have to do it for semi-annually. Okay, the same quarterly and daily. So let us quickly see. If it is semi-annually, it is the same thing that you're going to do, but only divide the rate of interest by 2 and multiply the number of years by 2. So when you divide 10 by 2, you get 5%, which is not, and then when you add 1 to it, it is 1.05. And when you multiply 2 into 2, you get 4. So 5% for 4 years. So again, you can go to table 5% for 4 years. So to that, what is the corresponding value? It is 1.2155. We have taken here as 1.2155. When you multiply 2000 with this figure, you get the future value if it is compounded semi-annually as rupees 2131. Now, let us move ahead. If the calculation is to be done monthly, so if it is monthly, you have to divide R by 12 and multiply by 12. So when you divide 10% by 12, so 10 divided by 12 will give you 0.833, okay, percent. So when it is percent, it will be 0.00833, and when you add back 1, it is 1.008333. It raised to the power 24. Why 24? Because 2 into 12. Now, can this be found out using the table, students? We cannot use the table to find out this exponent. This base to the power, we cannot use tables because table does not is to be used only for whole numbers. It does not have decimal percentages or fraction percentages. Therefore, how are you going to solve this? By using your scientific calculator or simple calculator. So on your scientific calculator, you are supposed to do 1.00833 to the power of 24, which is equal to 1.220. I am taking only 4 digits after the decimal. You can either take 3 or 4. Your answer will differ, but only with certain decimal, which is okay. So 2000 into 1.2203 gives you rupees 2441. So this is the future value if it is compounded monthly. Let us see what is the future value if it is compounded daily. Everything remains the same, only R you're going to divide it by 365 and N you're going to multiply by 365. So when you divide N by 365, you get 0.02739. Okay, plus 1 when you do, it is 1.00027 raised to 730. How did you get 730? It is 365 into 2. Now, can you solve this base raised to the power using the tables? No, students, because it is a simple fraction and it is not a whole digit. Therefore, you are going to use your scientific calculator. So, you are going to write 1.00027 raised to 730 in your calculator. So, you get the answer as 1.2178. So when you multiply 2000 with this particular figure, your future value will be 2435.6 is going to be your future value if you are going to compound your interest daily. So students, have everyone understood problem number 2? Did everyone understand problem number 2, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, simple will tell your students, either in the problem This is the formula you all know to find out compound interest. Now, suppose if everything is given and R is not given, still you are supposed to use the same formula and find out R. Or if the same problem is given where N is not given, but all other figures are given. So again, you need to use the same formula, substitute the figures in this formula and find out N. So you have to just first ascertain what are the figures or values given in the problem. Depending on that, use the formula and find out the missing figure or term. Next, problem number 3. Determine the compound amount and compound interest on rupees 1000 at 6% compounded semi-annually for 6 years. So again, what you need to do is, they're telling found out the compound amount and compound interest both. So first, calculation of compound interest. Compound interest formula is future value minus your present value. Your present value is given as 1000. Future value you have to still find out. So then next, write calculation of future value or compounded value. So your formula is A is equals to P in the bracket 1 plus R raised to N. Since it is given semi-annually, you are going to divide R by 2 and multiply N by 2. So you're just substituting the figures in the formula, 1000 in the bracket 1.03 raised to 12. Now, again, how do you find out this? Simply go to the table. 3% for 12 years, it is 1.4258. So 1.4258 into 1000, you get 1425.8 as your future value. This you have to substitute here. 1425.8 minus 1000, which gives your compound interest as rupees 425.8. So did everyone understand problem number 3? Yes, students? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us move ahead to problem number 4. What annual rate of interest compounded annually doubles an investment in 7 years? So what annual rate of interest? So they're asking to find out what is R. If you're compounded, whenever the word compounded is given, means you have to, it is to calculate the compound interest. Okay. And the future value compounded annually. Okay, it is annually, doubles an investment in 7 years. Which what does this sentence mean? That today if you're investing 1 rupee, it will double in 7 years, it will become 2 rupees, double the amount. So what is the is 7 years. So we need to find out the rate of interest. So let us see the solution. First, just see the working note. What is given? N is given as 7. And let us assume P to be 100. And A is 200 because it doubles an investment. Okay. Now, just substitute this particular figures in this particular formula. So A is 200, P is 100, 1 plus R is unknown. We don't know what is R. And that is what we have to find out, and N is 7 years. Since it is annually, we need to keep the formula as it is. Okay, we need not divide R or multiply N by any amount. Now, further, let us go solving this particular formula. Now, 200 is equals to 100 in the bracket 1 plus R raised to 7. So what happens when we further solve this particular equation? We divide 200 divided by 100 is equals to 1 plus R raised to 7. So 200 divided by 100 gives us 2 is equals to 1 plus R raised to 7. Now students, whenever you are shifting a power from the right hand side to the left hand side, it becomes 1 divided by that particular number. So I am shifting this 7 from the right hand side to the left hand side. So it becomes 2 raised to the power 1 divided by 7 is equals to 1 plus R. So 1 divided by 7 is how much? 1 divided by 7 is nothing but 0.1429 is equals to 1 plus r. Now, how are you going to solve this particular base raised to the power? Now, since it is not a whole number, you can use your scientific calculators. On your scientific calculator, you need to write 2, then write the exponential sign, then write 0.1429. So the answer will be 1.104 is equals to 1 plus r. Now, if you have to find out r, you have to shift 1 to the left hand side. So when plus 1, when you shift to the left hand side, it becomes minus 1. So 1.104 minus 1 is equals to r. So when you minus this both, you get 0.104 is equals to r. And rate of interest is always in percentage. Therefore, 0.104 into 100% when you take, you get r as 10.4%. So this is the way you need to calculate the interest by using the same formula depending on what values are given in the problem. So did everyone understand problem number 4? Yes, students? Did everyone understand problem number 4?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, by this we have completed problems on compound interest. Students, simple interest and compound interest, we have very less problems because it's very simple. Okay, remember students, compound interest problem may be asked in the exam where they will ask you, if the interest is compounded annually, semi-annually, monthly, daily, quarterly. In the same problem, all these different types of interest compounded annually, semi-annually, monthly, quarterly can be asked. Okay, this is only one problem that can fall under compound interest in your examination. So thank you so much, students. We have completed the lecture for today. Now